Hi, and welcome to Code Corner. This is a video series we do at Mayfield Renewables to talk about codes and standards as they relate to the solar and solar plus storage industries. We're going to continue talking about International Fire Code. I know it's been a topic that we've been covering here internally within Mayfield Renewables, and it's a big topic and something that the industry as a whole is really paying a lot of attention to. So moving through our 1207.8 section here, and today we're going to talk about exterior wall installations. There's a couple other videos that we talked about exterior installations, outdoor installations that talk about different, are you remote from exposures, are you near exposures? So we have a couple other videos I encourage you to take a look at on that. For this one, it's really about these ESS units that are on exterior walls. And it's different in the sense that there's some size limitations that are different from the other commercial applications, and we have some spacing requirements that are different. So if you are taking an energy storage unit and you're installing it on an exterior wall of a building, then you want to pay special attention to this because there are differences. There's changes from maybe what you're used to when you're doing a ground mount system in these commercial applications. And I should note here, again, these are non-residential applications. So for residential applications, you're going to look at 1207.11, and they talk about this as well, but it's going to be different values in terms of especially the separation, the distances for what our energy storage systems can have. So if you haven't taken a look at the 1207.8, which is outdoor installations, you'll see there's 4 subsections. We've gone through the other ones. And today we're talking about 8.4, which are exterior wall installations. And the limitations, what you may notice is, and they actually call it out in the charging language in the very beginning of 1207.8, they do talk about exterior wall installations not exceeding 20 kilowatt hours. And so that's where we're going to fall in with our exterior wall installations. And so that 20 kilowatt hours is a different value than probably what you're used to seeing for commercial systems. In every other section, when we talk about commercial systems and the unit requirements, it's 50 kilowatt hours. So we have a little bit less of a capacity because we are putting these on buildings. We're just reducing that potential energy in those units. So let's jump into 8.4, and we don't necessarily want to or need to read this to you verbatim, so happy to have you take a pause on this, read through it, and then come back and we can, we're going to talk through this application. But as I was just saying in the last slide, the maximum energy is going to be 20 kilowatt hours. What you're going to find is we're going to read through this and we're going to see this is the charging language, and then you can already see there at the bottom, if your eyes go to the bottom of the screen, there's an exception there. So we're going to go through, here's what the charging language is, and then here's how we work outside of that charging language as code will allow. So 20 kilowatt hours is going to be a limitation. So that is much, much more like what a residential application is. Again, most commercial applications, the unit requirement is 50 kilowatt hours, and residential it's 20. So here we have that 20 kilowatt hours. We have to comply with the other section, the applicable requirements in 1207. That's pretty much a given anyway, but they put that in there. We have to install it per the manufacturer's instructions and their listing. So understanding what it is that the manufacturers are requiring, if they have special requirements for clearances, air ventilation, anything like that, then we need to make sure that we are following those listings. ESS units need to be separated by 3 feet. So this is probably something that you're familiar with. If you watch other videos, we talk about this 3-foot separation a lot. Seems like everywhere we talk about it, it's at least a 3-foot separation, if not more. And so this is the individual units need to be separated by 3 feet. And then this last one is we have to separate from doors, windows, operable openings, and HVAC inlets by 5 feet. So I'm going to show you an image here in a minute that kind of puts all that together, just to visually put it together for you. But You may have looked at some of the outdoor installation requirements, and the charging language on that is a 10-foot separation from buildings, from lot lines and things like that. And this is reduced to 5 feet when we're talking about the doors and windows. But keep in mind, we also have a reduced energy storage value, the 20 kilowatt hour unit value. So that's been reduced as well. But it's a little bit more than what the residential is. The residential is a 3-foot separation from those windows and doors. So we have 5 feet in this application that we have to comply with in order to mount these on the exterior walls. And now, of course, the exceptions. In 1207 1.7, this is a section you're probably familiar with. This is the large-scale fire testing, and that section specifically calls out 9540A, and 9540A goes through and tests our energy storage systems, goes in it, puts them into thermal runaway, and then takes data, understands what happens, how hot do they get on the outside, and what happens to the wall they're installed on, all those kinds of things. So you can reduce that 3-foot separation. You can take it closer together, and you can get these things closer than 5 feet from the windows or doors if the manufacturer has gone through, done the 9540A test, and has provided that data to you and the fire officials. You can read through that report and understand we're going to be okay. We're going to be able to put these units closer together. It's not going to negatively impact unit number 2 if unit number 1 goes into thermal runaway, things like that. So that's really between you and the fire official, and the fire official has the ability to accept those and give you kind of that variance essentially, but they're not required to. And so that's one thing we talked about in the video that we have specifically on large scale fire tests. I encourage you to go take a look at that. It's a pretty big topic, and there's really some nuances to it, and there's some things to think about. And so I encourage you to take a look at that, really examine what that test is doing and what it's telling you, and the data that you're getting from it. So again, just kind of recap it. This is our charging language without applying any exceptions. So we would have 5 feet from windows and doors. We would have 3 feet between different units, and those different units would be a maximum 20 kilowatt hours. This is again specific to exterior wall installations. So you're actually physically attaching it to the wall of a non-residential application. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're installing those outside like that. All right, so that's going to do it for exterior wall installations. Encourage you to take a look at our website. We have lots of classes on National Electrical Code, International Fire Code, topics like microgrids, power control systems. So there's a number of courses that we've put together, and excited to help you on your education in the solar and solar plus storage industry. So take a look at that. And then also, if you have any questions or comments, we always love to hear from folks. So if you have anything specific to this video, other videos, or if you have ideas for other topics that you'd like to see us cover, let me know. Reach out to us. Always happy to hear from folks. So thanks for your time today, and we'll see you on the next Code Corner.